Most people roll into the Seder and they know this part. So then what's the point? We have to delve deeper to understand what's really going on. Every moment has a theme and every nuance matters. And when you go through it, you come out a different person. So that's what we're going to explore together. The themes, the lessons, the reasons, the purpose. Because that's what this is really all about. Okay, this is it. We reached the top of the mountain. We've been preparing and getting ready for the ability to do the mitzvah for the night, which is L'Sapir Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's the goal. Well, what is Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim? How do we fulfill our obligation to tell the story of Egypt? Say it any way you want? No. Open up Sefer Shmos, in which Hashem himself tells the story in detail? No. How do we fulfill the obligation of telling the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim? If you look at the Mishnah, it says, how do you do it? By telling the story of, starting with Arami, Oved, Avi. What is that? It's actually something called Mikra Bikurim. In Devarim, it speaks about what happens years later. Egypt, desert, Canaan, Beis HaMikdash. There's a mitzvah to bring the first fruits of your harvest to the Beis HaMikdash as a korban, as an offering. And farmers in Eretz Yisrael would mark the first ripening fruits of the Sheva Minim, the 7 species that are connected to Eretz Yisrael, Chita, Seora, Geffen, Teina, all the 7 species. And they would bring it down to the Beis HaMikdash, and it's pretty cool. If you look at the Mishnah Bikurim, it speaks about it in detail, about how they would come in, and they would come to Yerushalayim, and they would make this whole big thing. People would stop working, and they would come see them, and they would walk through the streets, and they would make these baskets, and they would put it on these animals, and they would come in, and they would come up to the Beis HaMikdash, and they would give it as a korban to the Kohen, and the Kohen would take them, and they would read these 5 sentences, and it was a huge event with singing and joy and celebration. It was beautiful. I mean, when you go through the Mishnah, if you can, in Bikurim, it's beautiful. Like the imagery of what it must have been like to walk the streets of Yerushalayim with dates and pomegranates and, wheat and people stopping and trumpets. Incredible. And then they would read this narrative that was 5 lines. So the picture, the farmer shows up, the Kohen, the basket of fruits, and he's reading. Arami Oved Avi, V'yigam Mitzrayim. My Arami tried to work my father, and I went down to Mitzrayim. V'yiruas on Mitzrayim, and they afflicted us. V'nitzak el Hashem, we cried to Hashem. V'yotzinu Mitzrayim, took us out of Mitzrayim. V'yinu makom hazeh, and he brought us to this place. And he would read these 5 psukim connected to this unique, specific offering that was for just the Sheva Minim, for the farmers, during the Beis HaMikdash, that took place. Okay. What? Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim is being fulfilled through reading the 5 lines that the farmer read in Israel. What does it have? How is that even connected? You get to the top of the mountain, and you're expecting to see Moshe, Aaron, Miriam, Paro, drama, the lines, Dam and what happens, Svardeya, the back and forth, Moshe goes in, no, yes, no, right? I mean, even Hollywood thought that was dramatic enough. They butchered it, but at least they thought it was dramatic. They opened it up. You're saying that when you get to the top of the mountain of the Seder night, which is designed to tell the story, the Baal Haggadah didn't think, let's go to Shemos and line it up. Instead, let's go to the farmer. That's who you see at the end of this? The guy with the basket of dates reading 5 lines? How? Why? Is that the way that we are fulfilling our obligation to tell the story? Why can't I tell it any way I want? Why can't I tell it the way God told it? Why am I telling it in 5 lines that the farmer brings with the fruits? So if you remember, we went back, we spoke about the goal of Yetzias Mitzrayim, and the Seder is not about the story. We all know the story. The goal is about the narrative. There's a narrative here. The brilliance of this Baal Haggadah, the brilliance of this Haggadah, is that it is specifically saying to you, and it's Mishnah, so it comes from the beginning. The brilliance of this system is that it is literally saying to you, it's not about the story. If it was about the story, you would just go learn it. It's about the narrative, and there's a narrative here. And the clearest form of narrative that we have found is what they say in the Beis HaMikdash. When a regular guy, not Moshe, not Aaron, when regular Joe, me and you may not be regular, but assuming, me and you are regular people. If you have to ask me, like, where would I be in the story? Would I be Moshe, Aaron, Miriam, Nachshon, or would I be like a farmer? I'd probably be closer to the farmer. When a regular person encounters the story, the source in Torah for how Hashem wants him to remember the story is this. Mikra Bikurim is the proof, is the source we have in Torah for how Hashem wants regular people to remember the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim. And so the way we do it is through the narrative of what Hashem is saying. I want regular people that are doing regular things like farming and bringing me the fruits and being thankful for their every day. These aren't people that are ascending into heaven. These aren't people that are the Kohanim that spend their day in the Beis HaMikdash. These are people that are working people that are bringing in the food that's on their tables. This is how I want the story to be remembered. This is the narrative. Brilliant, right? I'm not asking you to tell the story. I'm asking you to tell the story through the narrative. And that's what we're going to do. It's 5 lines, but we'll only use 4 because the last one is Ve'vio el makom. That's not for tonight. We're not up to that yet. 4 lines. That's it. If you can see the Seder, that the highlight, if you will, the core obligation is the ability to understand 4 lines. You will realize that this is where your attention goes. This is where we have to spend time. And each line, the rabbis stop and they darshan. They expound and they tell you. So that's what we're going to do. 4 lines. Each one will give it the time. And when you go through each of these lines, it will tell a very specific story. So let's begin. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us for this series. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that it enhances your Seder and brings you closer to Hashem. We have some cliff notes for you in case you want a Seder companion. You can download it. Check out the series and the downloadable stuff at pesach.us, pesach.us, and hope you have a great holiday, and may we see the full redemption soon.